Garrett, I'm excited for today. I can tell you're excited too.
Oh man, I pushed this one off because I was gone for a while. I was a little selfish when scheduling our guest today.
Yeah.
But I am more than thrilled.
Do you want to do the intro? Or do you want me to do? I kind of want to see you do the intro here.
You want me to do the intro?
Go ahead, man.
One of the few people I look up to and aspire to be, the one and only Vegas famous Mike Davis.
Mike Davis, welcome
here with
to
us
the show.
today.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Garrett. And let me just say, for my first callback joke, as I've binged this show for about a week now, Julie the intern described you 100% to a T. I don't know about Chat GBT because initially Andrew put it in as a female version of Garrett.
Yeah.
But the poofy hair is 100% spot on. But you know what? You even look better in person than I imagine in my mind, Garrett.
Oh, thank you.
And you have a beautiful heart, clearly.
Look at this.
And good taste.
Wow. This is the best episode. And we're only 5 seconds in.
For all of our listeners at home, there's going to be a lot of compliments given all along this triangle of people that we have here in this room. It's going to be fun. I'm excited.
I'm excited to be here.
So Mike Davis, for the few of you that don't know who Mike Davis is, or maybe you're not a Vegas local, he's incredible TV personality. Just on Fox 5? Is it the only channel you're on?
Yeah, I mean, the sports network that I kind of shifted to is a sister network of Fox 5, Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, but it's Fox 5, yeah.
When I was a wee lad back in 2020 or so, I would wake up to Fox 5. And I remember you were the correspondent. You were out in the field working your magic, doing your thing. And I feel like you were there. You were there almost daily. You were shown at some event, but then you kind of skyrocketed. I feel like to having your own either show or your own segment. Like you really started to be more in-house. I feel like after a short amount of time. Was that like an appropriate amount of time, or did you really get lucky and kind of take advantage of the opportunities?
Well, I think everything in this business is lucky. Getting lucky, but it's also about intentionality, and it's also about packaging yourself in a certain way. I actually think a lot of the success that I've had with certain things is that I'm coming from a place of deficiencies in other places. So I just try to highlight the places that I'm a little bit more naturally inclined. But I don't think I'm the best journalist. I don't think I'm the best. There's so many other people at Fox 5 and just in the business that know how to, really work a beat and be on a hard news story and have a lot of, variability, I guess, in the way that they can cover things. For me, I just always operated, I feel like I can only do one thing, and that's the one thing I got to just focus on.
What do you feel like you do right?
I think I'm good at authenticity and creating memorable moments on TV. And I think that's what I can do better than a lot of people.
What's a memorable moment you had when you were like out in the field correspondent?
I mean, there's all different types of moments. I wore a wedding dress at a Soul Cycle class.
We have that clip.
I got that on cue if we ever want to go down that route.
You guys are good at that. You do bring up a lot of clips.
Yeah.
I mean, I did stuff like that. I was in Blueface with, the Blue Men Group. Mm-hmm. I think I also just create good moments from asking good questions and creating, a space for a guest to come off differently or have a different way to connect with an audience. So I think I'm able to be a little bit more easygoing. And I think the big thing that the Vegas community connected with when it came to me is that hopefully I'm not stuffy. And I don't think it's hard for me to be stuffy, but I think a lot of people on TV are very, they come off where it's hard to connect with them. And I think a lot of people see me and they're like, oh, that's a dude I get, I know somebody like him.
It's so funny because the first time I saw you, actually, I was working with a handful of other colleagues, and you looked like one of my colleagues, and his name was Mike. And I remember taking a photo of the TV screen with you on it and saying, "Holy shit, guys, this guy Mike looks just like Mike." and you acted like, and then eventually I met you in person, and you were just like you described yourself. You were very authentic. You were very down to earth. Exactly who you saw on TV was exactly who you got in person.
Yeah.
It was just the cool, chill guy. That
I think I'm a little bit more comfortable on TV than I am in real life. I have that Larry David quality to me, but it's just a Jewish neuroticism concept, you know?
I love that.
I'm still deep in Passover for everybody at home. Happy Pesach to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, listen, I know you and me are influenced by a lot of the same people, so I'm sure we're going to get into it. Mm-hmm. But I always felt that maybe I'm not the best looking, maybe I'm not the smartest, maybe I'm not the most intellectual, but I always felt like I could go places other people are not willing to go. And that's how I kind of, I think, build a name for myself here is just by I up the ante.
Sure.
And I like that. And I crave that, you know? So I think I feed on that.
You say yes to a lot of things. I feel like you're the type of guy that's like, yes, I'm open to doing that.
And
yes.
my personal life, I say no to everything. So, I had a friend once when that Jim Carrey movie came out, Yes Man.
Yeah.
He said, you are this guy before he starts saying yes to everything in life. I'm like, okay, great. I'm not dating Zooey Deschanel and I say no to everything. Like
little did I know that was a true story of Mike Davis. I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's weird how sometimes why, you know, I think a lot, why did I go on this journey? You know, and I think a lot of it is like sometimes maybe this journey from a therapy standpoint, like it gives me a way to live that I wouldn't live if I didn't do it.
I love that. Do you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
No, I haven't.
So there's a joke on How I Met Your Mother where you're not a true New Yorker if you haven't done these things. And one of the things is Geraldo Rivera, the old TV Geraldo. For me, I feel like you're not a true Vegas local until you've seen Jason Feinberg out and about in public. Many people have disagreed with me. I've heard Carrot Top.
Yeah.
I've heard, I don't know. Is there anybody that comes to mind that you feel like you have to see if you're a true Vegas local?
I would say, if we're building like a Mount Rushmore, Feinberg's on there. I'd say like I would put Heather on there, Heather Collins. I'd put like Derek Stevens, one of your other guests, Jonathan Jossel, I'd put on there. There's a bunch of people that are in that wheelhouse, you know, I would say.
I tell you what, I like that. Not only did we do our homework on you, you did our homework on us. I feel like the tables have turned almost.
Well, because I know what it's like to be in your spot.
Sure.
I also know what it's like to be in Garrett's spot. I used to do that.
Yeah.
So I know how I would love a guest to show up and the willingness, you know, they would like to bring to an appearance. So I like to provide that too.
You've been an on-air correspondent. You have your own sports show. You obviously have your own interview style show too that you had Chef James Trees on and everything like that. Which one of those is the one that you really like we're passionate about, or even just favorite?
Yeah, it's hard because I think I get sick of things very easily.
Really?
Yes, it's a bad problem in my life. And so I like variety.
Okay.
I do think what I'm best at is just two dudes in a microphone. Like I would love to have like a Larry King show. Like my media appetite is a little old manish. I would love, when I was growing up, I wanted this. I wanted to be David Letterman.
Sure.
You know, before Howard, before anything. I still think at the end of the day, what I probably would love when I'm 60 or 65 is to have like a show like a Larry King used to have nightly that Piers Morgan took over for. But I thought Larry King, we don't have pretty much anything in common besides Judaism, but he changed his name. I didn't change my name. The other thing is he didn't do any research, and I do. Like he was notorious for not doing research. You know, like he doesn't know anything about anybody, and he does it on purpose. I don't know if he just wanted more time to hang by the pool or if he like did that as a tactic.
It worked for him.
It worked for him. Yeah. Me, I do way too much reseach. You know, it's like the amount of stuff I know on Garrett and Julie, the intern, it's not good. It's
got
not
my
healthy.
social security number.
You know,
got it all.
But one day I think that would be, I don't know. I liked being a madman and doing the craziness on TV. I did a thing during the pandemic called curbside dining.
Right.
Which I thought I was very good with, but I still think the best thing is just having a conversation like I did with Chef James Trees, which I will go on the record and say was probably my favorite interview I've ever done in my entire life.
So coincidentally, this is, what day is this? Thursday. We actually interviewed Chef James Trees this morning, as I mentioned, and he was an incredible guest. Like anybody that's comfortable in front of the microphone, I get off to. I love when I have somebody that can just share stories and engage in conversation. Yeah. And Chef just marks all of those boxes.
He's the best. Because for anybody, you don't have to be a talk show host to know this. He's open. Yes. He's very vulnerable. He's willing to take risks. I mean, constantly, I feel like on a daily basis, and I can, as I was listening to the show this week, I didn't watch, I just listened, but I kind of almost can hear your mind working too, trying to decipher that anti-up quality, And I think like you and me are a little bit more reserved. I think you're more reserved than I am, but I think that's the whole concept between the spectrum of Howard and all these different people. You can be a guest who keeps upping the ante. You could be a host who keeps upping the ante. And I think James just like, he's got a lot to lose, he's like the preeminent chef. He's got the best places, and I'm an authentic guy. It's not, like I would never be the person who says, oh, like you were saying on the Howard show, like I hate when Ellen dances. Oh, now I love when Ellen, right. I'm not like that. So I wouldn't go on and say Al Solito Posto is my number one date spot if it really wasn't. Right. His places are incredible. I think people look up to him. And then for him to just get on my show and start shitting on people, I just was like, I'm enamored by you as I'm interviewing you.
It was so perfect because like I had to do research on him, but I had to do research on you because you both were coming up, and I saw that show and I was like, I'm killing two birds with one stone. And I was ecstatic when that happened, when I found out that you guys both sat down together. Yeah. What kind of preparation? I'm sure the preparation you do with the sports show that you have on now, what's it called?
Well, I have a bunch of sports shows.
So I'll tell you what, before we get into that, can you list off everything that you're active on right now? Because even I had a hard time keeping track of where Mike Davis is. I mean, you're everywhere, but where can we find you specifically?
So I think a lot of people, when we were talking, people are probably like, this dude is in a wedding dress and at Soul Cycle. So when I moved here, I was a morning show anchor in my first on-air job in Texas. I moved to Vegas to be a reporter for the More Show, which is an entertainment show. Right. So I would be out doing More Show segments that were entertainment skewed, but very quickly they said, hey, you know what? Let's just put you on the morning news too. And throughout the 7, 8, 9 o'clock hour, you'll be going crazy doing food segments, restaurants, whatever you want to do, and then go do another live shot for the More Show. So during that time, I had long hair. It was like I moved here, I think, at 27 or 28 years old. It was 2019 before the pandemic. So people got to know me from that. Right. And I was just a whack job on morning TV. And then I did more stuff. And now I transitioned to a sports network. So now Fox 5 hosts a bunch of different shows. We have a show I taped today called Covering the Bases with the A's, all about athletics baseball. Airs on Fox 5, airs on Silver State Sports. You can watch it on our YouTube page, Silver State Sports. You can watch it on Cox Cable, YouTube TV. It's all over. But they also air on Fox 5. I have a daily sports show that just launched called Silver State Sports Live, every day at 2 p.m. I got a show called Sound Off Sports, which is like a sports talk radio show, which is cool because the community gives their takes and calls in. And then I have like a roundtable sports discussion show called Sin City Beat. I have a fantasy football show I do with Jason Feinberg called Fantasy Goat. I have another fantasy football show I do with NFL show I do with former Vikings head coach Mike Tice. I have Dry Heat, the podcast, which you saw. So I can keep I have a ton.
It doesn't end.
It doesn't end. So yeah.
That's incredible. How do you separate, or how do you schedule a day with everything you have going on and still give quality content in each of those concepts?
It's a good question. It's actually, I struggle with this all the time. I actually think the quality, I worry that the quality is dipping because
you're so spread thin.
Yeah. So I fantasize about the Joe Rogan situation where it's just like, all I would have to do is wake up, put all the hours of prep I did for the James Treese interview and just execute that, and the world would love it. And that would be my dream. But, you know, sometimes what's happening is like, you have to play. I'm a big sports guy. I think you are too. Mm-hmm. You have to be on and doing your best stuff, your best shit, even before you get to the place where everybody is tuned in. It's just how it works, you know? So I feel like the James Treese interview should have really done well in our market. I was disappointed that it didn't get the same, I don't know, elasticity or whatever they called it. It wasn't sticky on social media.
Why do you think that was?
I think a lot of it's my fault. I think I don't put enough. I'm too exhausted at the end of the day of making the show good to then also ensure that it's going to be chopped up for social well and all those things. And I don't know. I think a lot of times I want people to eat the whole meal rather than just the appetizer.
It's tricky with you because I feel like with all these different shows you have, the strategy in them is different. Like with Dry Heat and the podcast, you're sitting down one-on-one with somebody. That's like a dynamic back and forth, and it's a conversation, but you want to keep it engaging. With all the other sports shows you're talking about, it's either you're getting responses from listeners that are calling in, which, by the way, do you know what they're going to say before they actually say it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for FCC stuff, we have to be a little careful. So a lot of it is like a same system you guys, how people can leave, you know, voicemails and messages, same thing for us. So, you know, we kind of go through them, but we get a bunch, you know.
Do you feel like it's because the strategy is different for each one? You have to kind of be in a mindset of one in this.
Well, yeah, it's a good, I feel like it's almost like, my access point for everything I do. Like, I wish I could be a musician, but I try to lead first with authenticity. That's the number one thing I always am keeping a monitor and internal clock with, right? So as long as I'm coming from that place, that's my jumping off point. But now my landing point has to be different for each show because my role is different for each show. So sometimes I'm facilitating conversation. Sin City Beat, I'm just a moderator. I'm like more of like a Bill Maher kind of handling a panel where then he goes to people on the panel talking politics. I'm just trying to facilitate an interesting conversation. For Sound Off Sports, I kind of crank it up to a little bit more like Stephen A. Smith, you know, and I have takes and I want to maybe say something I shouldn't say and kind of just, the worst thing would be to not have a take, right? So I have to accentuate that, but it's still coming from an authentic place. I would never say something I wouldn't,
just for the sake of saying
right. But I crank it up.
Yeah. That's got to be exhausting. Like I want to, during the day, I think I'm similar to you when the cameras are off. I'm very calm, reserved. I have fun. I joke around, but I'm not as loud. I'm not as, talkative and excitable as I am when the cameras are on. But I still have the same, interest in the conversation regardless. I just approach it, differently. But that for me is difficult. So at times where if I'm having a tough day at work, with my 9 to 5 that I'm doing here, or if I have some personal things going on, but you got to be consistent. You have, routine down. I don't know how you do it where you have so much going on that I feel like just one wrong thing. If I was in your position, one wrong thing, somebody could open a car door into my car and put me in a bad funk. And I feel like that would put me in a bad mood. And then I have to be on my game when the cameras are on 20 minutes later.
Yeah. I mean, that's the simple part. That's the part where you're a professional, and I think that's the difference. If I had advice for anybody at home, I knew at 4th grade, I wanted to be David Letterman. I knew I wanted to be hosting a show. Like I literally went from wanting to be Kobe or AI. And the next day I was just like, no, I actually want to be David Letterman and I'd rather do that. So I knew I wanted to be a talk show host. And I think as I really invested in this career in a very traditional sense, I mean, I literally looked up David Letterman's trajectory. I looked up what Howard Stern did. I looked up what all these people did. And I said, okay, I'm just going to do that, And I guess as I got older and I really kept investing and I saw people popping off on TikTok and I saw people popping off and having larger social followings in different senses, I got sour. And there's parts of me that are sour because I feel like there's a lot of people. You can't just become an orthopedic, like people can just start a podcast. and it's like, I feel like I treated this career like becoming an orthopedic surgeon. Mm-hmm. You can't just start operating on people's hips in your grandmother's basement.
So it bothers you.
So part of it bothers me, but then I also think there's so many people that are talented and they come from this place. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, you asked me that question, will somebody backs into your car? Yeah. I think the difference is for people who want to take this seriously and really want to make this a career and are in it no matter what happens. And that's how I feel. I'm in it whether I become David Letterman or I don't. And that's how I feel. I'll be happy if I max out here or if I get to the next level or the next level, whatever that is. But I think the big thing is like being a professional, and I think if you're able to be a professional by doing your 9 to 5 and then somebody hits your car and you're still going to treat showing up to do your show like you're getting a paycheck from somebody, then all the power to you. But if you're not doing that, then I think that's where I have a problem with people.
That's a professional answer right there. Well done.
I don't know. I don't know if it is.
Yes,
I don't know if it is, but that's just how. So I think I probably was coming from a negative kind of judgmental New York, East Coast vibey kind of thing. Whereas I wish some of the things that I could, I think Heather Collins is a perfect example of what I would aspire to be, because she knows about music. She did the grind. Mm-hmm. She worked her way up, and then she still found time to invest in social and do the things that people who don't have the privilege of having a microphone in front of them, she was able to combine both. And I think that's why we're seeing her skyrocket and get to the level that she's getting to. So if I had more energy and more discipline and I had a fluidity with social that because I think that's a gift too. I just don't have that gift. Yeah. She's so good at that. So I can't believe she's the person who actually mastered that. But also I'm more impressed that she started in radio and actually got a microphone and got a job. And so I love that.
Heather I've seen Heather go through the process from when she had Radio Heather before she had her current Raised in Vegas account, and it was good. She would get recognized here and there, but then she created Raised in Vegas and it just blew up. But she treats it like a full-time job.
She does.
She's obsessed. And just to see every detail that she obsesses with, sometimes it's unhealthy, I feel like, but it's just who she is. She has that thing in her mind that's just like, that other people don't have. Yeah. But that's why she's where she is today. And that's why so many people see all the amenities she gets or the clout that she has, but they don't see how much.
No, she treats it like a job, and it's very, very hard to do that. And I'm so impressed. And I've seen her grow, from being here. I've been here almost, it's like 6.5 years. So I've seen that maturation, which is incredible. But for me, it's just like, it's always, I'm just so in my head. And I feel like sometimes that's why I crave TV and crave media, and because it's the one time where I'm not overthinking, I'm just doing what is good in the moment. I think the one thing is like, sometimes I know, man, if I could say this a little bit more Howardy, like I would love to, but so the only thing I do in the moment is I shrink a little if it doesn't behoove me and my contractual obligations, but I do really admire what she's done. And I just think for me, every time I try to be that on social, I just start worrying like, Twitter doesn't pay, X doesn't pay me. Like, why am I giving my take on X? And if it's taken the wrong way, then I'm canceled. It's just like, what's the point? So it makes no sense, So I'm just like, Well,
I'll tell you what I do like about you. And I don't think you'll admit to this or not, but I'm going to say it. With Vegas becoming, if it's not already, the sports capital of the country, I feel like you're the sports golden boy of Fox 5. They are absolutely seeing the trend of where Vegas is going. Yeah. And you, my friend, are right at that forefront. And I can see that they're putting their chips behind you, which is fantastic. You don't have to agree. You don't have to say anything. But I see that. That's the approach I see. And I think it's incredible. And I think it's due to the professionalism that you have, the drive that you have, the authenticity that you convey. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited to be able to sit down with you. And, it's funny because you say you wanted to be David Letterman I wanted to be a talk show host too.
Who did you want to be?
Conan.
See, I became much more of a Conan guy late in life.
Okay.
But he's tremendous.
He's so, I feel like he's authentic. I feel like he is who you would sit down with and talk to, and he'd be the same person. That's just who he is. And he's intelligent, which I love. And so is Letterman too. Letterman over Leno?
I'm not a Leno guy. I think Conan is actually, like, I love his podcast. He's, I thought he does a great job whenever he hosts the Oscars. Sure. I thought 2 years ago was better than this year, but his sketches when he had his show were tremendous. He has a nice playfulness. Yeah. You take little pieces from everybody. Mm-hmm. The only guy I never really took from is Leno, because I just never really watched him. He was a good stand-up, but I started in stand-up. That was my first kind of foray into like pushing myself off a cliff into this journey,
Was that your first time like speaking in front of a crowd, or let alone a camera? Was stand-up?
So in fourth grade, like the long story is in fourth grade, I did a presentation. I was really big into Chris Rock at this time. And
please don't tell me you did a Chris Rock routine.
I basically did. But instead of doing it on, culture or racial injustice or something, in my fourth grade class at Stockton Elementary in Mrs. Martin's class, I did it was our first presentation ever we had to do. And the animal I had was the silverback gorilla. And I came from a household where like your parents do the project for you. So like my mom was like doing it and, but I had all this info preparation on the silverback gorilla. So I was really good at retaining information, but everything else in the curricular world, a scholastic world, was not great for me, but I could retain info. Mm-hmm. So I just started riffing in this class on the silverback gorilla. I started getting into gender roles with the silverback gorilla. It was basically like a George Carlin, like routine on the silverback gorilla. And people just were cracking up. And my teacher called my parents, gave me like a detention. Like it was bad. But it was also great because like it lit me up.
Sure.
And my parents are just the best. And they were like, they could tell like, oh shit, like something in Mike is different.
Something's there.
Yeah. Like, so they didn't really punish me, but they were like, okay. But that moment I knew like something, I don't know, must be like taking a hit of something. I was like, whoa.
I'm actually glad you brought that up because we have Miss Martins on the phone right now.
Oh, there we go.
You won a competition doing impressions, right? Mm-mm. You sure about that?
Yeah.
You didn't do any impressions? Why do we have it? You won a competition doing impressions of...
Was it I saw something you won like $75 for, was that a stand-up thing? On your Instagram, you won $75 for...
Oh, you were looking at, okay, $75.
I don't know.
It's a lot of money.
Maybe.
I would.
Do impressions?
A Jewish guy from New Jersey would know when he won $75. I would know if I won $25. I cannot recall when I won $75, but I wish I could do impressions.
Yeah.
I'm not an impression guy.
We'll work on that.
But I did like, I was paying homage. Maybe you saw my Instagram. There's a guy named Uncle Floyd who used to perform on Carson a lot. And he had his own show actually back in Jersey. And I got to open for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I won a stand-up contest as a kid, and then that's how I got my role going.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're good at improv or like being quick-witted, or do you feel like you're more of a planned joke type of?
No, I think I'm bad at the planned joke. I wish I knew that when I was younger. When I was doing Fox 5 morning television, I think it was just improv. Like I think
really?
I actually think it was. That's why when I started in that job, I was like, hey, you know what? Like, I wish I just didn't go to college and did Second City. Mm-hmm. And my dad literally always says, like, you should be like more of an SNL. Like that probably should have been my thing more than stand up.
Right.
Because I think I'm better at improv, but I had the talk show vision, but I wish I invested more in improv because I was an adequate stand up. I wasn't good. I was just okay.
What kind of material did you have in your stand-up?
I did a lot of like, I was like, I'm like 16, what was I, 17 years old. So I was trying to figure out who I was. I had no strife. I come from a great family, maybe like there wasn't really anything to be upset about. So I would just riff on like Chris Christie was our governor in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So I would do like basically a monologue of what Letterman would do, or there was a guy named Gary Shandling who like was one of my heroes. He had the Larry Sanders Show on HBO.
Of course.
I loved his stand-up. If you ever see his early stand-up on Carson, like I loved it. It was very like clever. So I did a lot of that, a little David Brenner, but then I'd be like, nah, I'm watching the Chappelle Show. I'm just going to go full Chappelle.
You just went full Chappelle.
Yeah. But it was just funny. Like I would just do random stuff that would make me laugh. My parents they were bringer shows in the beginning because you can't just get stage time. So you have to like bring 10 people to get 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's what they call bringer shows. So my parents would come, my friends, and I would just start telling jokes about how I want to, how I want to leave my number for, the cleaning lady, and take her out on a date, like in front of my parent, like just like
have some fun.
Who cares?
Yeah. I look at earlier episodes of our show and it's not cringe. I cringe a little bit, but I definitely don't feel like it was my voice that that was like authentic to me. Like I feel like when I, spoke, I tried to talk with strategy in mind more so than just being natural. And then eventually over the course of time, I think I had maybe JC Fernandez on, who's another personality. He really got me comfortable talking on air. And I feel like after that, I kind of got.
What do you mean? You mean that from that show on, you felt something shifted in you?
Yes. I feel like.
What was that?
It was JC. Do you know who JC Fernandez is? Yeah. So JC is a close friend of mine. And it was a big show because it was his first time since his NDA expired from Mix 94 when he got let go. And so I knew that he was going to have a great story, but he's a professional. He's not going to trash them. He still has a career in TV too. So he didn't want to do anything to get in trouble. But I just felt like this level of comfort that was like, I was talking to a close friend of mine, and I had Heather here. I had Heather in other shows too, but with Heather still, I felt like I had to keep up with Heather. But with JC, he did such a great job at just being like, I'm on the same level with you. Like, let's just chat. And we had a great conversation.
Yeah.
We had a great episode. And I saw the different shift in me. I don't know if other people did, but I did. And
so you mean you recognized it and then you were able to replicate that moving forward in your approach for the future guests?
Yes.
So like today you're doing that because you learned something from your show with JC.
Because of that episode and on, I felt like I had just the confidence more so than I did before. And I think seeing the natural just conversation flow and the success that it had and the engagement that we had on social media, I was like, this is it. This is the approach. And I felt like it took a while to get there. When you started on air, did you feel like you had a different voice prior to that wasn't your natural Mike Davis personality?
It's a nuanced answer. I would say I've always felt like I've always been able to access my authentic self, I feel, and then be able to try to convey that to somebody. I think I can do that on a date. I think I can do that on TV. I just think it takes a lot of it's draining to give yourself a lot, and to do that. So I think as I've gotten older, I've learned to like build a little bit more of a cocoon. So I'm not doing that to the cashier at TJ Maxx and then also doing it for 5 hours on TV because I had no stop point, like it was just, I'm just going to do this and just, that's like a currency that I just keep giving away. And it's exhausting, I think sometimes to do that. So, and I just, so a level of maintenance had to occur just for me to stop doing that. But I've always been able to access that. Where I would say I didn't feel that is when I was put in certain roles that aren't maybe the most friendly to my skill set. Mm-hmm. So when I was a morning anchor in Texas and I had to shift from National Cupcake Day to a triple homicide, like... I already think that's funny, So for me, that's not like my sensibilities to an audience. It's not good because every sensibility in my being wants to crack up.
Yeah.
But I have to be able to relay that professionally. So I don't think I could serve the audience best in that role. Even here at Fox 5, I was doing a lot of weekend anchoring. So like they'd have me do their thing. They needed somebody to fill in. So
you'd be on the desk.
Boom, and I'm starting to do that. And I was like, okay, I could do it. I don't think I'm good at it, You
don't think so?
No, not really. I think there's a lot of people that are better. So I would do it because I thought it was interesting for me to just build a skill, but so I'm not authentic. I feel I'm authentic in being poor in those moments, but it's not my wheelhouse.
Let's say you're 21-year-old Mike Davis with the knowledge that you have today.
Yeah.
Would you take the same career path that you did to get to where you are today and to exceed expectations, or would you do something different on your?
I think I probably would, which is probably stupid. Like, I think if a person today, you have all the tools. So, I mean, I think you could do a lot of different things where you can start the situation now. I think for me, I tried tinkering with little things like that. Everybody has regrets. My big regret would be, I wish when I was at Northwestern, I went after doing my classes at night, I went to Second City and I did that hardcore. I wish I found the time to do both. Or I wish when I was 17, instead of just doing stand-up, I started doing like Del Close and improv and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
I think that would have been probably better for me, but I wish I started I wish I got on TikTok and YouTube and since my first interview here in Vegas, I wish I put all those up and had them finally tuned and chopped up, but there's a lot of things I've regretted.
There's a lot that goes into it though. You have to wear a lot of hats, and you already do. You're spread so thin, and you're doing a great job, but you're wearing every hat, it seems like. That's tough. We talked a little bit about it, but I feel like it's it'd be foolish not to bring up. You were an intern for Howard Stern.
Yes. This is the reason why I'm here. Finally, he indulged me for
he figured us out
20 minutes. And now it's like, okay, this is,
Oh, listen, I think it's intriguing because he's somebody that is obviously influential to me and influential to you. I feel like he is influential to anybody in media. Love him or hate him, he's changed the impact of what media is today. And anytime somebody has a story that is different than what other people can share, I'm always intrigued by it. How did you get started? How did you even get hooked up with being an intern there? So
the Howard thing's interesting. So I'm 34, just turned 34. So my Howard that I fell in love with listening was late Howard. So I fell in love first and foremost with him because of his interviews. So I would be an undergrad kid in college and just at University of Miami, and I would just be taking in his entire show, obsessing over his interviews. And I remember walking to class and being like, oh my God, that Hispanic girl's gorgeous. And then I'd go back to my, interview and be like, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm getting chills listening to him have a conversation with Ben Stiller, right. Or I'm getting I literally would get goosebumps sometimes listening to him because I just, the best way to put it is sometimes you're having such a good conversation with somebody and it's just two people talking and the audience can feel it. And yes. I felt that magic. And I was like, man, if I could ever do something like that one day, I would love to be able to provide that. So, some days I get that feeling. And when I did the interview with James Trees, I felt that personally.
I saw it.
And I just wish that maybe you or other people who were, taking it in could feel that same goosebump feeling that I would get, passing all these 10s at University of Miami. But so I always had a dream and a fascination of going to work for him. They rejected me every time I applied. You needed to know somebody, blah, blah, blah. And they literally told me, I pestered them so much that if you're a true fan, there was somebody named Tracy Millman. Mm-hmm. She has a lot of classic moments on the show. And at one point she just told me, Mike, you're not going to get an internship here. You don't know anybody. Yeah. She literally told me that. And I was just like, wow, okay. So I gave up and just went back to doing my thing. And one day I'm walking around the comm school at the University of Miami. It's like the week before Thanksgiving. And Tracy Millman calls me and she's like, can you be here next week? Somebody dropped out. Wow. And I'm like already a junior. I've been trying to do this internship like when I was like a freshman, a sophomore. Now I'm like an old man. I'm like, yeah, okay, I can be there. I had no clue how I was going to get there. I'm in Miami. I got to get to New York. I just said yes. And I figured all the stuff out after. So I slept on my best friend's brother's roommate's couch for $100 a week. And I went to work as Howard's intern and I did everything. I mean, I did a little bit of everything.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you get sick of talking about the Howard time of your life?
No.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Because now we're here. Now now let's get into it.
It's too late. We're already here.
Yeah.
We're already here.
Anything I can answer, I will answer. Yeah.
What do you feel like you took most from the time with Howard? Just seeing not necessarily in front of the mic, but the behind the scenes type of thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's what's important for people like at home is like, shout out to Julie, the intern here.
Julie, the intern.
I think you are doing a lot of gopher things sometimes in these internships. And a lot of times now you can't even get those jobs because of legalities and stuff. It's just not worth it to have a gopher because of what could happen negatively. But I was literally like doing everything from getting Gary Delabate's breakfast, getting Howard's lunch, getting Howard's breakfast. If Pharrell came into the show and wanted something, I had to go get whatever Pharrell wanted. Like, so I was doing all those things. I was doing something for Scott the engineer. I was Robin's intern. I mean, I was doing a ton of things.
Was he at Sirius at this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on top of it, the thing that I really loved is I got to work with Will Murray and compile guest research for Howard. So if Neil Young came in, I would give like a 6 or 7 page packet of notes to Will, and then Will would go through them and then give a packet to Howard to use for his interviews. So I felt in a way I was a conduit, and he was doing this for years before me, but I got to see the process of being a little minuscule part of the process of that prep work. And I think that informed a lot of the way that I approach an interview today.
How so?
I mean, I had an appearance on something recently that was going to be like 8 minutes. I spent probably about 6 hours prepping for it.
Really?
Yeah. For the James Trees interview, I at least put in 2 hours.
Yeah. So take me through the prep work of what you do, like for James, because I want to compare with what we did compared to what you did for Chef.
I love that. I get lost into a flow. I like learning about people. I like that investigative work. So yeah, I try to learn everything about that person. I try to start drawing connections. I try to pick up on things that are character defining moments that I find fascinating. I kind of like operate in this wheelhouse now where I also love this guy, Tim Ferriss, who has a great podcast that's very methodical, and it's not like it's so detailed, and he wants to know little things about everything. And I think he does a great job just being in the minutia, and I like minutia. So, but I also like big picture, so I think I try to do a ton of research and then try to put together like almost like a Venn diagram in my mind of minutia, big picture, and like what's the middle here and what's interesting to me, and then I go with that. I really don't try to think about an audience. I just go into what's perking me up, and then I follow that.
And then you feel like you hope that the audience feels that way too?
And I think some people think I'm long-winded. Like there's jokes at Fox 5. A lot of people think it takes me 15 minutes to set up something, and that's part of just being Jewish from the East Coast and that lifestyle, like we can just do that. So, it was funny because in our business, like in TV news, like a live shot, when I put it this way, when I did like the being in a bride's dress on the strip at Soul Cycle,
right,
like a live shot really is like 2 minutes. It's like maybe 3. My setup would be 3 minutes. So like I was like, in not a good way. They call me like the master of the 7-minute live shot, which there's no time for that in local news. Right. But like, because I would have a hit every few, half hour, I ended up figuring out a way to stack my appearance that morning. So I do a setup in the 7, I do like a punchy thing in the 8, and then I do another, so it's funny, but I'm long-winded, so it's hard. A bunch of these sports shows I do they're 30-minute shows that air on TV. So it's like 22 minutes.
Is that tough? Because when you're having like a in-depth conversation with somebody compared to the podcast where you can,
and that's why I feel like even this show, like I was craving more. I was like, wow, you guys keep the show kind of short.
We do, because I felt like because I'm still trying to figure out where our footing is. And I feel like we found that recently, maybe at the end of like last year. I feel like we found our footing.
Yeah.
And when we move studios, we're going to approach the strategy of each episode a little bit differently. But I'm trying new things, really just throwing so much at the wall and seeing what sticks and what doesn't stick. And I take those things that stick and I say, okay, I want to implement that into the show more often.
Right.
So I would like to get to a point where we are longer, as long as it stays engaging.
You guys do such a good job. Like one of the first things, and I don't think there's a lot of people, like this is where I knew you were good, because I could not believe that you were able to pull a Howard in the sense that the dynamic of Garrett and Julie the intern trying to describe to you what Garrett looks like so you could punch it into ChatGPT, and like the whole just conversation and conversing of that scenario. It's so high level to be able to make that interesting and like engaging for an audience. And I started thinking like, wow, this guy is good, because that to me is what is sustainable for like that Pat McAfee, those 3-hour like you need to be able to do that.
Sure.
So I think that was so fascinating that I'm like, wow, I'm actually bought in to just like the BS of the show, and we're not even into Jonathan Jossel yet, And so like, to me, that was really fascinating, because I wish that I had that luxury. I wish I had the luxury to just go in. Like I wanted to do today on our Silver State Sports Live, because of Masters Week, we did like a little thing at the end of the show where Rory McIlroy for Tuesday, the winner does their championship dinner, the champions dinner for the Masters. So like what would be on our menu? And I mean, I could do 15 minutes on just bread baskets alone. So like I wanted, I started explaining Bronzino and how, I only want the Bronzino if the person's going to like fillet it in front of me, side table, You
have a process.
Right. But I would love to do a 10-minute riff on that, but I can't. I got to get that essence of that 10-minute riff in a sentence.
Right.
Do you think, that's just, we have a very fun, enthusiastic, podcast here, and we don't have to really follow a script like in news. Like you can't just do like your 7-8 minute out in the field hits where you're just kind of doing whatever. Do you think that's kind of how, media is shifting to, rather than television? You can have really no limits in whatever you want to do on a podcast. You think that's how it's kind of like entertainment is kind of heading towards?
Yeah. And I think maybe it's a good question. I think part of the success of people in the future, and that's why I'm a big Pat McAfee guy. I think he's tremendous. And I think people hate on him because he doesn't have the pedigree. And like I was saying, I came on here earlier saying certain people, I don't like when you don't have a pedigree. He breaks all the rules, but he's tremendous. And I actually think he's more journalistic than a lot of people who are journalists. And he's really good. I appreciate, I love Rich Eisen, and I also love Pat McAfee, and there's space for both of them in my life. But to Garrett's point, it's like, I think maybe what you're getting at there, you didn't exactly ask it, but to me, I'm a big music guy, and, I love jazz, and really great. I always give this analogy to people. Really great jazz musicians break the rules, but in order to break the rules, you got to know the rules. So like a Miles Davis or a John Coltrane, they're classically trained musicians. I mean, they're playing like Chopin, or they know how to do classical music.
Right.
And then when Louis Armstrong goes off and does boom, 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 that's him riffing in the moment, but he has the liberty to riff.
Okay.
Because he works so hard at mastering the rules. So to me, that's a big thing. And that's why even though I think I'm a bad, news anchor, I'm not the guy you want delivering, transition from National Cupcake Day to Triple Homicide. I still appreciate the fact that I did it because at least I know the rules. I know what you're supposed to do, and I put my time in to do that. So now I feel like, okay, I have a little bit more. Now I don't have the liberty that Louis Armstrong, one of my heroes, has, and I'm still working and trying to work hard every day. So I feel more ownership and access to that liberty.
Are you a trumpet player?
I did mess around with it and saxophone when I was a little kid, but one day I would like to. The embouchure, it's a tough thing to work on, but I'm a big jazz head. So I love that. I think it's a great analogy for what we do because you need to know the rules and then you can riff, and that's why I could hear your mind working. And that's why like part of listening to the show is enjoyable and part of it is stressful because I know what you're going through in your mind. I know that you're keeping time and you're master of ceremony. You're trying to facilitate and what's next on I can hear your mind working, which is a good thing because it means you're intentional and you're good at what you're doing. But it's just like, I think about those things all the time.
It's so funny because I saw that with you, with the end of your James Tree episode. Yeah. You were trying to wrap up. I could tell you were trying to wrap up, but he again, great stories, but he can go on tangents and you were trying to get it back on track to where you need to go so you could close it out. But what he was saying was so good that it was so hard.
You had to let him do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I could see that in you. It's so funny.
Yeah. So it's fascinating, but I just think that's a big thing. So I think there's so much luck. You have to have great bosses. You have to have a great team behind you. Like I'm so grateful to Fox 5 because they let me be me, you know? I think a big thing for people at home is like, when you go on a job interview, you have to be interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. And even my first job I took out of Northwestern, like I made sure that the reason why they hired me was not because they think I could be Edward R. Murrow one day. It was because they wanted a little of that flavor, but you have to know and have the courage to say no to things, when it doesn't feel right. So I was a super lucky. And then you work hard and I've just the best bosses and all the leadership at Fox 5 just keep saying, hey, just keep being you. If you're working hard, keep being you. Yeah.
I like at Fox 5 that everybody has like their personalities. Like if you watch it enough, you start to get to know a little bit more about Jason or Alyssa or
Kirika,
exactly.
Dave. I think the biggest thing, and I think, listen, people make fun of local news sometimes. I think where people can make fun of local news and get away with it is the moments where you watch the guy or girl on your morning TV while you're having your coffee, and then you bump into them at a Jamba Juice and they're totally different. And you're like, this guy just ordered a blueberry bliss and he's one way like at 6:45 and now he's the biggest blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where local news people really miss the boat because that's bad.
Yeah.
To me, that's like the number one thing I never wanted to be. And I think it's not even because they're having a bad day. It's just because they're two different people.
Sure.
And I think that's just in today's age, that's just not going to fly. You can't be the dude ordering a blueberry bliss and then act like you're, not the person you were 2 hours. I mean, you can't do that. So I do think like the thing that Fox 5 leadership has really honed in on and is doing a great job with, every single person at Fox 5, I mean, maybe not every person, but I'd say a really high majority. And I've worked in a bunch of different places. I would say the thing that Fox 5 does better than anybody that I've seen in this business is they really let people be them. They lean into people's personalities, but then it's not just about what Fox 5 is doing. The people they hire walk the walk. So if you bump into somebody from Fox 5, there's a good chance they're going to be normal. Right. They're going to be likable. They're not going to be somebody different because there's a lot of people, like I've met heroes that are just like, whoa.
Like who? Give me one example.
Queen Latifah, I mean, I could go on I would ask the same question you are. So I would want somebody to give somebody. But there's a bunch of people. Yeah. And who knows? She may have been having a bad day but I think it's at a lower level. It's like the people that are good stand out more than the people that are bad, actually. And I know everybody wants bad in today's, but it's the good people that really do stand out. Like Mark Wahlberg is good at that, man. Like Mark, oh my God, I love that dude. He's like so chill, has time for everybody. Like you can't not like that guy after you talk to him, which is like, I think that's such a special quality, and it's not tangible. It's like we're sports guys, right? Like not everything that makes a player amazing is on the stat sheet. It's not all measured at the combine. That's why I'm obsessed with Tom Brady. That's why I'm obsessed with Fernando Mendoza, and he's going to be like the savior for Raider Nation. And
you think so?
I'm all in on this guy. I'm going to be the first person buying a Fanatics jersey.
Do you think he has the personality to be a Raider? Because I feel like his personality, he's very, it seems like clean cut, very, by the book, very fundamental, but he seems just like a genuine good guy. And I'm not saying
No, I mean, I'm going to take it a step further. He's like a choir boy.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Raiders need,
really?
As long as it's authentic.
Like changing the Raiders culture in a
sense? Yes. I mean, listen, I think the face of the franchise for the past years has been Max Crosby, 100%. Yeah. Problem is in the NFL, in order to win, you really need a franchise quarterback. It's just how it is. So I think what I love about Fernando Mendoza is like, instead of doing a Raising Cane's like cool ad right now with Alex Earl, he's repping LinkedIn. Like, I mean, how great is that? And it's authentic,
right? Because
he wouldn't be doing that for LinkedIn, and LinkedIn wouldn't want him unless he really was the studious kid that he is. And who doesn't want that kind of attention to, I mean, his hero growing up was Brady.
Sure.
Brady's a minority owner, already working with him. He's got Kirk Cousins in the building now, faith, family, and football. The 3 Fs, they're all in on that, right? Both of those guys. Mendoza has the intangibles to succeed in the NFL because nobody's holding your hand. You need to want to be great. I don't know Jamarcus Russell. I wish I could interview this guy and have him come in because I would want to know why he became a bust.
Right.
I really want to know. And I would have an honest conversation with him. I wouldn't just try to pick him apart. I really want to know,
do you think he knows he's a bust in his mind?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
I used to have a podcast with Ryan Leaf called Bust. And we would talk about it, and Ryan was really open about it. And a lot of it is cockiness. A lot of it is just not taking things seriously. A lot of it's situational and dynamics. I just had a former Raider quarterback on my show. We haven't released it yet, but just when he got drafted, the quarterback in the quarterback room with him just had zero graciousness, didn't want to help him at all. That's why I always Jason Feinberg's my boy, and he's one of my best friends. But what I always try to tell people about him is he had every right to just discard me and not like me when I showed up because I'm another guy coming into his show where he's been established, and he could have just been very dismissive to me and gave me a feeling that, how am I going to perform good here because this guy hates me? And my last station, that was literally the job. I literally had to have on-air chemistry with somebody who despised me for no reason.
I hate that. Oh, I hate that. I don't know how you would do that.
It was, I literally was hospitalized a couple times. I had to get an endoscopy because I had so much stress from having to maintain professionalism and not understand stressful triggers, why this person hated me so much. And I literally show up, and it was it's a long story, my first station, but it was just hilarious because I know what that's like. So that was all I knew. So when I came to Fox 5, I thought that was what it was going to be.
Right.
And immediately everybody was so open and welcoming and, treating me let's go out. Let's treating me like a human, it's oh my God. So to me, that makes Jason a great human being.
Is Jason the one you're closest to at the station?
I'm close with so many people, but Jason's the closest. Yeah. He's come to my house in New Jersey for Thanksgiving when his mom, Sandy, rest in peace, was alive. We would do Jewish holidays together. We're very close.
That's awesome. What stresses you out now?
Dating. I mean,
I feel like I don't understand how you would have a hard time dating. One, because you're just a genuinely great guy. You're a good looking guy. You can talk to anyone at any time, regardless of whatever you say you're like.
I don't have the cutoff sleeve. You know, like I got to get to Andrew's level with the Pat McAfee buys. That's where I got to get.
You know what? It's because of my trainer, Devin Hicks. He trains me.
Is that Devin? Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I've binged this whole show where I know what you were like before you felt that comfort. I know it's felt like after.
Listen, I value your opinion, so I want to hear this, and I want you to.
What's your situation dating wise? Right.
I'm dating.
Let me turn the tables a little.
Let's hear this.
When I met you, like back in the day, were you dating Heather or no?
Heather and I met on a dating app 8 years ago.
Because look, let's break this down.
Yes.
And then we'll get into mine. But
sure.
Indulge me for a moment.
Yeah.
Because when we met the first time, I was like, what? I couldn't figure it out, you know? And then I would see you a couple more times with her. And I was like, I don't know. They're like friends, but maybe they're dating. And like, I don't know. But like, then I was like, are they brother and sister? Like I could not figure out the whole thing.
You know, I've never gotten the brother and sister thing, but that's a first, but I love that. No, we met on a dating app. Okay. She downloaded the dating app because
Which app?
Hinge.
Okay.
And it was for a segment on her radio show. She was going to be like, I'm downloading this app and this is my experience. And I was the first person she matched with, and we just hit it off.
If I'm being armchair psychiatrist here, would it be safe to assume that, people enter our life for a reason?
Sure.
Maybe you matched with Heather because she kind of opened up this possibility for you to pursue this.
I think about that also very often.
Because I think she probably rubbed off on you.
Oh,
that friendship. Sure. And, a lot of times, I say this as well, like in sports, I do think genetics plays a big role. It's why we have Ken Griffey Sr. and we have Ken Griffey Jr.
Right.
100%. But more so than just genetics and DNA, I do think a lot of things are like the mystique around certain journeys. Demystifying that mystique is such a critical part of manifesting.
Right.
And I don't want to be, I'm not trying to go Mel Robbins on you guys, but like part of me being at Howard Stern, it wasn't just like what I learned. It was the fact that I was just in the belly of the beast. And part of it, like before I was there, I was like, so my eyes, like the first day I was just like, that's Scott the engineer. Like, I mean, I was like, you would have thought I saw Heidi Klum,
right.
Yeah.
There's this balding 40, 50-year-old guy that's you're
which I did see Heidi Klum at a birthday show. She's the most.
How'd she look?
Oh my gosh. She was one of the most magnificent humans I've ever seen.
Love that.
But my point is that the mystique of these things holds us back, like the mystique of, and it could be anything from like a fitness journey and being scared to like go to EOS or what is it? EOS or EOS?
I think it's EOS.
Okay. I like EOS better.
Let's go with that.
The mystique of like, oh my God, like that's just a small sample size example for the everyday person. Like, right. I gotta be sweaty around strangers. I don't feel good in my body and my clothes. Like, and we all feel those things, right? It's like, now I gotta go do, squats next to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like that's not fun. But the thing is, it's so important to do it and to be there because quickly the fear goes away very quick. Once you see a guy wipe his booger on the treadmill, you're like, okay, I deserve to be here.
This is where I am.
Right. I'm a human being. Yeah. Like it's okay. I'm allowed to be, but a lot of things. So that's just like a mini example.
Sure.
But for me at Howard Stern, like a part of it was like that. I felt like, who am I? I don't know any talk show host. Like my dad's a doctor, I already felt like a disappointment not becoming a doctor or a lawyer and a Jewish kind of, and my parents never put that pressure on me. They wanted me to chase my dreams and they're the best with that. But internally I felt that pressure because I was like, I'm going to be a loser if I don't make this dream happen.
Right.
And I was telling everybody like before I could tell people.
Sure.
So I think like being in that situation and just, seeing the magic trick revealed, it could inspire you or it could make you feel like,
That's interesting.
Take it or leave it. So I think for me, a lot of things in life, when you're inspired, but you're also let down, that's a good thing because it kind of says like, okay, this isn't, this is the highest level. This is amazing what's happening here, but it's just a job. Yeah. It's just people. It's just people showing up to work that are professionals. And then having that mystique, crumble is a good thing because it gives you a little bit more confidence to say, I can, if I put in the work, I deserve to be, in this situation. I can, and nobody deserves it. You have to earn that. You have to earn that opportunity. And I think that's a big thing. So I think for people at home, once again, back to this theme of like just doing, a podcast in, your Nona's basement, it's okay. But I don't know if the mystique is being crumbled there. I don't know if you're developing that sense of professionalism. If you're able to do that with your Bubby or your Nona in the basement, perfect. But if not, you might want to put yourself in a position where you can feel that level of responsibility.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest with you. You just blew my mind right there. That was, I wasn't expecting that.
That was the most wise thing.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It does tremendously. And as you were talking to,
I'm going to frame this. I'm going to call this is part of my next book, the let them theory. I'm going to do a whole, actually, that's an inside joke for self-help fans. I actually liked it. I like Atomic Habits a lot. I just finished that. But yeah, continue. I'm sorry. I saw an opportunity.
No, you saw an opportunity. You took it. I love that for you. Heather's my Howard Stern. She really is.
She?
I attribute, and she's today my best friend. She's fantastic. She not only got me to meet these incredible people such as yourself and, whoever else that I've met being her +1 to any of these events. I see her ambition and I admire it.
Yeah.
I see her passion. I see her creativity. I see her failures. I see what she learns from them.
Yeah.
And also I see that she was a big part of the show and where we are today. She kind of helped get more people, more eyes and ears on this show early on than I would have been without her.
Yeah. And I think, there's so many things about that, and I have a couple questions from a dating standpoint with you too that I'm curious about. He's already smiling. But I think there's a few things I love about both of you regarding that. One, when you say the word ambition and you use that with Heather, what I love so much about her is that, because I feel like I share that sense of ambition. And I think a lot of people don't have that as much nowadays. The problem is a lot of people have ambition, but they come off in such a dickhead way about it, or they have such a, I don't know, there's not a warmness and their whole personality is their ambition, and there's a very transactional or other, peripheral kind of traits can bloom that are negative because ambition is leading the way so strongly. And for Heather, one of the first things I recognized about her that I immediately liked was I could tell this is someone who's very ambitious, but is super likable and she doesn't suffocate. She doesn't swallow up space and energy in a negative way when it comes to that. And I was like, wow, this is a person who's very comfortable in their own skin. They want a lot of things from themselves. They're not in a competitive, she's only competitive with herself. Yes. You can tell, and the best are like that. The Bradys, the MJs, Ali, all those types of people are, I think Max Crosby's at that level. They're competitive with themselves, and I was like, wow, I really admire that about her because most people in that profession, in that role, with those opportunities would not be like that. They would be the opposite.
It's funny you said that because being close with her, especially during the early years where when she was starting to build that presence on social media, she was competitive with other influencers, but this is at such a smaller scale. Now that she's where she is today, not even close to the same mindset. She's very giving. She gives compliments. She gives help. She tries to, be a part of the community. She helps other influencers, other small businesses. So it's interesting that you say that because I saw that she was competitive with others back in the day when she wasn't where she is today. But now that she is where she is today, she's not competitive with them at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm very competitive. I think being competitive is a necessity. Yeah. Actually, I think it's super important. But but it's all nuance, you know. But okay, couple questions.
Yeah.
So you guys like dated?
You did
full on.
Yeah.
And what was that like? I've never dated Howard Stern, you know. So I'm curious what it was like for you. Yeah, like how was it being in admiration of somebody and also dating them and like also kind of wanting to be them, and then like how did that feel? It's
not for everybody, because when she's in the spotlight, no matter where we go, especially current day or just a few years back, like she's the one that gets recognized all the time, from Joe Schmo on the street to Chef Barry, who comes over to the table and
I know that's his favorite restaurant. He told that to Jonathan Jostle to his face. He didn't even say anything about Oscars.
No hesitation. Just
it's the authenticity.
I'm an Oscars guy.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. So, but shout out Jonathan Jostle.
Shout out to Jonathan
But
Jostle.
Okay, continue.
It's not for everybody, because not everybody can be not the one in the spotlight, or not everybody can be the one that sees the other person that they're in the relationship with get all the limelight and you get none.
Okay, so that's one aspect, but I'm just saying, what about just being in private moments together?
In private moments, she didn't.
Like, were you able to get to the point where I'm not dating Heather Collins, I'm dating Heather?
Yeah. I always saw Heather.
Yeah.
I never saw, I see the switch. I see when she turns it on, turns it off. But to me, it was always just Heather. And even today, I get Heather. When I see her talk on the phone, I get Heather.
And when she matched with you and did the whole routine, I wasn't privy to this on air. Like, was it how like Fred on the Howard Stern show met his wife,
with a dial a date?
Yeah, I mean, was it like so? Did you suddenly become a character on the show? Oh.
I did call in a few times to like request Blink-182 songs or something like that.
Oh, okay. But there was never like, okay, Andrew's calling up now. We just went to dinner at, Esther's kitchen last night. Andrew, come on, man. Like, you're not picking up the bill.
It was never like that. But I remember one of my prompts, or one of like the things on the bio was, I have plenty of dad jokes or something like that. And she responded with her first communication with me is, do you have a dad bod to go with those dad jokes? Wow. And it was kind of an insult, but also so creative at the same time that it caught my attention. And I was like, wow. And then I learned more about her. She had a picture of her behind the mic. I was like, oh, she's on radio. That's pretty cool. And and then
so you didn't listen to her.
Not at all. I had no idea who she was prior to that. I just saw that she was a redhead on this.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's a little different. Did I get the?
Yeah. Did you get the breaking news?
Did you get your,
I got the better tomorrow. Sorry.
How did you meet this one? Did she slide in your DMs?
No. This was we met on a Jewish dating app. But see how I did that for you? I created a transition so you don't have to do National Cupcake Day to triple homicide, which I would like to see you do. But
I'm working my way to it.
That was my. Some of those my dad would just like, my parents would watch me all the time. They're so proud. And my dad, in just like our text message group, like a family group chat, he'd be like, that was a transit. Like, he'd be like, I was impressed with that one. And there's a clip they always play on Howard. My dad and I were just talking about this the other day. Casey Kasem, that like they play a little like thing in between commercial breaks where he starts flipping out on like a producer because he's like, how am I supposed to go from dead puppy, did you know that one?
I do.
That's like, my dad and I always crack up about
They do such a great job at those. Yeah. Well, listen, I value your opinion. So, and you've done your homework on us, which is fantastic.
Can I ask another question? Sorry.
No, please.
I thought, so I've been binging the show for like a week. Yeah. They're all like 40-minute show. We're already, how is this being consumed? What's going to happen? It's okay. We're going long.
This is fantastic.
Okay.
I haven't given him like, hey, we gotta.
Yeah,
okay, good.
Usually Garrett or Brian are the ones texting me like, hey, we got to wrap up soon. So they're the ones that yell at me. But if they don't yell at me, I'm going to keep going.
All right. Keep going. Ask whatever you want.
I value your opinion a lot. You've done your homework on us clearly. What do we need to work on from somebody in your situation?
I like the Uncrustables name.
Our team name for the Circa Millions contest was the Uncrustables. Yes,
your dad was a part of it. It was a nice bond you guys have.
A bonding moment.
I was like, I like this family. What do you think? You want me to give you feedback on what you guys are doing?
Yeah.
Really?
What would you think that we could do better from somebody who's a professional in your point? your job is media. You're surrounded by media. You think about media when you're on your dates that you meet on your Jewish dating sites.
Well, and I'm not strictly dating Jewish for everybody out there, but
you know, a little insider info there.
But no, honestly, I'm very intrigued by you because I honestly compliment for you. I would typically come into a situation where I'm asked to go on a show like this, and I do not respect or admire the host.
Interesting.
Because I just do not think they have the chops, you know, and I don't think that they are good enough to be doing a show sometimes. And not that I'm the barometer for that. I'm just saying, like, back to what I was saying, I just feel like I invested a lot of time. I think the barrier to entry for media, it's so low. It's a good thing. A lot of people can get their start, but like back in the day, there is a journey associated with developing that signature skill and having that presence. So I do think it's not like, I'm not against people who don't have pedigree. Some of the best people don't have pedigree. I think like an Alex Earl, I actually think she's tremendous. Like she's very captivating, you know, and there's people that are influencers that have no broadcasting background and they're very captivating. And there's a lot of broadcasters with all the pedigree in the world and they're the least captivating person in the world. And if the script doesn't have everything written out about National Cupcake Day, they have nothing else to say. And that's when you're at Jamba Juice and they're ordering a Blueberry Bliss and you're like, oh my God, I wish I went to Power Soul Cafe instead, or I wish I went to Tropical Smoothie. I am impressed. Honestly, I would have been a person with a lot more feedback. I'm so impressed by the way that you're orchestrating this show as kind of like the conductor. I look at a lot of talk show hosts like a conductor, and I just think I've seen so much good evidence. I love the way that you facilitate, you know, I would say add more Garrett, add more Julie the intern, you know, add more Brian, like all those things. Have Heather on the couch more. Like I like a lot of those things, and I think you're really good at orchestrating the madness. And I think your interview style is different than mine, but similar to Howard in certain ways. But I think you have your own natural, like after listening to your interviews a little bit more, I think I like a lot of what you do. I like, you're so authentic. You take like, and I was listening to see if I would not like you, because I wanted a reason not to like you. Honestly.
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Like when you were, I feel bad. I'm going to forget the name, but the Filipino artist who performed at the Space. Jan. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people would have just said, I saw your set at the Space, and you saw the 2 acts before her. She's on your show. You love music. And for some reason, you had like a fit in the bathroom. I don't know what happened, but you would think you would stay to see the person who's on your show, you know, and you didn't. And I actually admired so much that not only did you admit it, not only did you take an opportunity where you could have been inauthentic, you stood your ground, you stayed authentic. And then I think 2.0 level is you actually used it as an opportunity to make it more engaging, the conversation. So I was really listening critically, you know, and not just like trying to make references. Like I was really trying to see what you guys are about. And, cause I probably wouldn't want to come on if, you know, and in the past I would go on a show, but now I
do you turn down offers?
Yeah. But in the past I wouldn't, but now I make sure I want to understand what I'm getting into. So I just think you're actually really good. And I'm still trying to place who I think you are more like. I think you're very calm. You have a very like calm, methodical approach to your interviewing too. So I think you're I think I butt in and bring more of, I'm a little bit more old Howard with some of those things where I take a lot of opportunities and butt in and insert myself maybe too much. And it could be some people's taste. It might not be some people's taste. I just did a great interview into Kobe Dean. And like, I'm one of those people, I look at all the comments and stuff. So a few people are like, wow, Mike, you're so prepared. Such a great interview. Like, thank you so much. You're so like, it's a pleasure to watch you interview. And then some people are like, this dude won't stop cutting him off, you know? And
I feel like I have to find a middle ground because I agree. I think you're very good at.
But I cut off.
You cut off?
And I'm like, but I own it, you know? And I think some people hate that and they don't. I just cut you off now, you know? So, I mean, some people, but I'm trying to take that. I don't know. It's the energy that I bring. Whereas you, I think you're a little bit more surgical, like in the way that you ask questions, which I like. And it's pleasant, you know, and I'm trying to understand who you are because it's interesting to know you're inspired by Howard. But then I think we all try to take our influences and then we try to create our own voice, you know. It's the difference between being, you know, somebody who's in a Van Halen tribute band at Stations Casino and the person who actually puts out original music and tries to to create their own voice. It's hard, you know, and I like tribute bands. I'm just saying it's different. God, I mean, right. So I think what I heard from what you're doing is that I actually think you're a lot further along than you think. And I think what you're doing is really special. I think you should invest more in taking the time. I think the pacing in your mind of the audience's attention to the minutia, I think you don't give the audience enough credit. And I think I love the banter. I love the little like rhythm you guys have with stuff. And I'm impressed because I would say 8 out of 10 podcasts that try to do that before the interview do not succeed. Yeah. At all. It's bad. Like my brother is a plastic surgeon. He has a podcast that's really good. It's called The Deep End. If you're interested in anything plastic surgery, you got to listen to it. He just had like a dermatologist on who does a lot of plastic surgery type of stuff. She has like over 1 million followers, but they don't do band. Like they know it's just the interview. We're not going to try to, Dr. Saeed, like, what did you think about, did you catch the
game on Thursday? Or
what Whoopi Goldberg said on The View, but you're actually really good at that. And I think that's like, you can't teach that. And I think you're really good at making that accessible to an audience. So I think maybe in your mind, you're thinking we got to move this along more so, whereas maybe you could even invest more in that. Cause I honestly, like I was trying to get into the interview so I can learn your style and I was stuck. Like I didn't really push forward because I was like, man, this is like, I'm impressed. And then Garrett's good. Like everybody's good on camera. Mm-hmm. Was it Garrett who somebody was talking about like, were you the person who said he needs to be more bossy? Yeah. Or was that Brian?
No, that was
Garrett. That was my first day.
Right.
Yeah, that was first day. Yeah.
And I'm like, Garrett's good on air and he's taking shots and he's not shy. Julie's really good on air. So I was like, yeah, this is like, you've really concocted a good thing here. And I feel like I've always wanted to do that. And I think people will be successful in this new media landscape if they take some of what Howard taught us in the sense like, get the audience. Like, I want to know about Garrett's dating life. Like the way that Howard will bring in, Benji to talk about his blotchiness and what's going on. Like, I feel like, I don't know if that's authentic to you. Like, I'm curious about, like, I already have 9 million questions I just want to ask. So I just know my sensibility. If I was conducting the show, I would be curious about those.
And
things.
Honestly, that's my goal. And that's something that I see that we need to work on. And I need to work on is not only have me be the focal point, but expand to others and get people, get them to learn about Garrett, more about Garrett.
But I can hear your excitableness because it's not fake. Because I can hear when you're posing a question to Garrett or you're posing a question to Julie, like even the way you asked about the bossy thing, I'm like, yo, this is like Howard 101. This is, and I don't mean Howard 101, the channel station. I mean like English 101. Like you're really taking a blueprint and rolling with it. And I was like, yeah, this is being executed really well. And a part of me was like, man, I wish I had part of that in my daily media that I'm, producing because I love that. And I think you're doing a really good job. I don't have anything to say.
Fuck, Mike fucking Davis. Like my God.
I mean, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can nitpick, I would say.
Well, listen, I really do appreciate that. It does mean a lot for me coming from you because you're somebody that I I've always been intrigued by. I've always been inspired by, and seeing you just being on, the correspondent on Fox 5 to now where you are and meeting you in between. And honestly, never once have I met you and thought, oh, this guy's.
Well, what do you think I could do better? Like, I don't know if you've seen any of my sports shows.
Not spread yourself too thin, because I spread myself too thin, and I felt like this show should have been where it is today years ago, because I spread myself too thin with other ventures that I didn't have the time, resources, or energy to put into it. But now I focus on my digital marketing business, and I focus on this, and I treat them both as 9 to 5s, and I'm dedicated and passionate about it. But I come up with new ideas. I'm like, oh, that would be a great idea. Maybe I should go down that path. But then I'm like, nope, focus yourself. And that allows me to get us where we are today. And I wish I did that earlier. I wholeheartedly, I was joking about it, but I wholeheartedly agree. I feel like you're the golden boy of Fox 5 Sports. I feel like they're putting their chips behind you, and Vegas is, if not already, the local or the sports capital of the country. I'm upset that I had a hard time figuring out which platforms or shows you're active on currently.
Yeah, it's hard. That
bothered me.
It bothers me.
Yeah.
It does. Like, that's what's such a shame about media today, is that my parents don't even know. Like, my parents are still trying to figure that out. Whereas when I was on live TV every day on the news, they just knew, turn on the news and Mike's segment's going to come up live at some point. And I think that's part of, it's just part of the landscape of media today, is like, you need to be everywhere. You need to be people. I was listening to the show. You guys are making sure it's also visual. So like, I try to tell people 24/7, like when I'm hosting events, we have teases in all of our shows. It's just hard to get people to understand something that is everywhere. I don't know. It's like a weird, you're a marketing guy. I wish I knew how to better describe it, but I guess like most of my shows air at midnight on Fox 5, right. But they're also all on our YouTube page at Silver State Sports, but they're also airing all day long at different points on Channel 77 on Cox, on YouTube TV if you go to Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. So it's hard because it's like it's a sister network that is a sports network that was launched and I was the first employee of.
Yeah.
And I was going to leave Fox 5 to try to go back home and just do my thing back home. And my bosses, like, they were so great in there that said, listen, like, you've been with Moore for 4 years. If we want to keep you, whatever you can, tell us. I said, it's not you guys. Like, it's a pleasure working here. I want to try to go back home and be closer to the family and see if I can get into the New York market. And they're like, well, what if we had you just run a sports network and host a bunch of different shows? I said, all right, now, wait a second.
Now you got my attention.
I don't really like my Bubby that much anyway, Bubby's Jewish grandmother for everybody at home. But, so, it was one of those things where it just was a perfect thing. So now we got this network that we just, I guess why I'm prideful about it is like, if I was a kid, like I was growing up in Philly, yeah. Let's just say I was a kid growing up here in Summerlin and I loved sports. Like the shows we are doing, I would be so about. I would be like, wow, like there's a local news station that is cranking out like high level sports talk where they're getting into fun debates and there's like in-depth, knowledgeable stuff. They're, one day we could turn on the show and Chris Bosh might be on, or James Worthy, or T-Mac, or Tom Brady. Like, I don't know. Dan Marino is in the studio. I'm like thinking, this is a pretty cool show. And then then one day this guy's giving more like the Stephen A. Smith stuff. And then we got an A show. I would just think like, man, this is... So I'm surprised myself when I don't see the social numbers. We do well on TV.
Yeah.
But I just I don't know, the social game's hard.
It is hard, but you'll figure it out. You're a smart guy and you have incredible resources behind you, but it's tricky, and you get a lot more failures before you get any success.
I have this great idea. It's been in the works. I was gonna go to my boss's office and say, we got to hire Neon Marketing to get we need to have
listen, something needs to happen here.
Yes. We need to establish a relationship so we can really get,
What's the next tier for Mike Davis? Like you're doing all these shows, you're killing it. You're local famous for sure. But what's like the next step up for Mike Davis?
I have a lot of things I want to accomplish, and I'm a very appreciative of the journey, and I'm trying to be more where my 2 feet are. And I just am not good at that. I really am not. And it's a shame. And I think about it all the time. I'm in the shower, I'm driving, I'm just like never where my 2 feet are. And it sounds like, a Garth Brooks song,
How do you change that?
Well, I mean, part of why I think I'm doing what I do, part of why I love this right now is like, it's forcing me to be present, like being present in today's world is just so hard, and I'm already wired to just be thinking about the past or be thinking about the future. Like I broke up with somebody like in November, and like early November, it's like, I still am just thinking all the time about like little things, like what I could have done better, did I take things that I shouldn't have taken, or was I misread? Like I'm just constantly evaluating, and then I'm constantly projecting into the future. So it's just like, I feel like 80% of my day is like that. And then the 20% of my day that's not is when I get to be on for TV.
Sure.
And I think that's part of the appeal for me, is that it just quiets me down. It's like forces me into like a state of meditation. So I don't know how much it may give more to me than I give to it, but I don't know. It's a good question. I'm trying to figure that out, and it's because I care.
It's also okay not to have the answer. Like it's okay to just say, I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm working on it. I've tried a lot of things. Do you struggle with that or no?
Not necessarily. I mean, I definitely had moments in my life where I did, but now I see this, and this is what I want to be the next chapter of my life.
So you would love for this to take off like you become a Theo Vaughn of your own version in Vegas.
I could absolutely. I'd rather be a top 3 podcast of Las Vegas than the top 500,000 podcast in the nation. And
from because I don't know much about the space in terms of like creating a career, but like everybody has a podcast, right? So is it a career to be a top 3 podcast or top podcast in Vegas? Like, let's just say, Jostle's got a great podcast. You got this. Is being top 3 in a market like Vegas and having the top podcast, is that a full-time job? Like where you're making a living? And if Emily wanted to have a child with you, like
it could be if I have lower expectations. I have pretty high expectations.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'd become a millionaire from being a top Vegas show, but I feel like it could open more doors to get me to whatever financial goals I have, whatever career goals that I have. And I feel like it's something I'm passionate about, and it's a stepping stone that I feel strongly in myself that I can get me and the team there too.
And I think part of like something that to answer your question, there's a lot of things that I would like to do one day. I think part of it is like, I actually would like to be able to be a consultant and kind of like, because to me, part of what's bad with the business is like Hawk Tua gets a podcast, right? And it's like
ridiculous.
And the question becomes like, there's so many questions.
There's a lot of questions.
It's just not one, but it's like, can she function as a talk show host?
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. I think the jury's not even out. I think we already know the answer. Mm-hmm. But the point is like the business, they're kind of like, listen, it's now the barrier to entry is so low that we're not even going to look for Andrew, who's actually demonstrating all the qualities that it would be great to have as in a talk show host. Mm-hmm. And let's, do this. It's more so like Hawk Tua became viral. People know who she is.
Yeah.
Let's give her a podcast.
Right.
Now, the problem becomes, I don't care what Hawk Tua has to say pretty much about anything. Maybe I would like her to get her take on Israel-Palestine. But besides that, I really, her DoorDash order, I don't really care. But international conflict, I would love to get her take. But what I'm really trying to say is that the business in a weird place because people are just going for the easy thing. It's like, she's got a following. That's a good place for us to sell stuff, but it's not sustainable. Okay. So to me, I think I have a pretty good eye for things. And I think kind of similar to like a Ryan Seacrest or an Andy Cohen, I would like to, one of the big things I would like to do is try to have a production company that would seek out and because I know what I'm looking for. And I would try to look for the types of people that I think would have the ability to succeed, you know, and then I can make money without having to talk. And I would love that.
You would love that.
Yeah. I mean,
that's your goal.
I mean, no, I always want to talk, but it would be nice to have, you know, diversify. And so I would love to be able to, you know, spawn like that kind of stuff because I think that's really needed. Sure. And, you know, so that's the question is like, I think years ago, Howard would demonstrate what you're demonstrating. Somebody, you know, a news director at a radio station, a program director would hear a one-off thing where Howard is doing a little bit like you did with Garrett and being bossy. Right. And they'd hear like, whoa, okay, like this guy, the way he transitions into more than a feeling Boston, it's not the best I've ever heard. This little thing he did here, like you can't teach that. That's kind of interesting. And like he can build an audience around that. And like, so to me, when I hear you doing what you can do, it's like, yeah, like I love that you possess that skill and I believe in you. So now it's like, the question is the industry. Can somebody who's not Hawk Tuah, but actually has way more skills than Hawk Tuah and actually has the command and the presence and can conduct people behind the scenes on, you know, conduct it like that's somebody who should have an opportunity to make something happen. The question is the public gonna respond to that? Or is the public just want these side street interviews outside of a PETs where somebody becomes Hawk Tuah?
I do think there's an answer to that somewhere in there. And I like the challenge of finding where that answer is. When I first started this show, and I love the fact that Heather did this too, I wanted to be vulgar. I think the first 5 episodes we had an adult film star on, and she was like an AVN award winner. And she was just right out of the gate, vulgar as all. Yeah. And it was great for us. We got great download. It was our highest, you know, ranking episode at the time. But Heather was like, don't you want to try to, you know, come up with an engaging show that doesn't go that far extreme? Like I definitely like to flirt with the line now, but she was right. She kind of brought me back down to earth. It's like, I'm too many people try to be old school, vulgar Howard. And I felt like I was trying to emulate that.
Really?
And I didn't. And once I got called out on that, I felt like, okay, you know what? I could challenge myself to still get better engagement, but more content that's more, you know, that sponsors want to hear or that locals want to hear. So I think there's an answer in there somewhere of the, you know,
it's evolving. It's evolving the landscape. And, you know, I think there's just the person who was inspired probably by Howard and took with it and ran with it and did their own lane. And I think is just super duper talented is Dave Portnoy. I think Dave Portnoy is a guy who probably, you know, he cracked the code. I think a lot, and he's a very talented guy, and clearly like he found a way to be authentic, engaging. I still like, you know, when this Diana Rossini and Mike, you know, Vrabel stuff like comes out, I'm like, the first place I want to, the first feed I'm checking is Dave Portnoy because I want to hear what he's going to say, you know, and I think that's a talent. The fact that my mind goes to boom, Dave Portnoy, when that happens, that's big. And I think Howard did a great job with that because people knew, hey, you know what? Like, I want to hear, and that's when they took away the news. I thought that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to the show.
I agree.
Because it was the one time where Howard could just sit back and riff and have a perspective on things that you're not getting from anyone else. And he didn't really care. He didn't give a shit. You know, he's just going to say something. So to me, that was such a big, that was a big misstep, you know, as Gary would say. It's, you know, it was, you know, that to me was a problem because that's where Howard also shined in a lot of ways there. A lot of people loved that. My dad, that was like, he loved interviews, but my dad, like, I think the news more than anything. It was refreshing back then to get a take from somebody like that. Now today on TikTok, everybody's just doing that.
Sure.
You know, so take culture's a little different, but that was a big deal back then when not everybody had access to a microphone. Not everybody, you know, so to have somebody with a really refreshing take is big. And that's why even me, I'm trying to push myself. Like I normally try to reserve my takes for TV. But when the Max Crosby trade fell through, I was about to go play tennis in Henderson. And I missed like an hour of my tennis stuff just because I felt like I had to say something. And it wasn't because I wanted clout. It was more because like I was actually worked up. And I said, you know what, if I'm going to be worked up about something, I'm going to do it then and now. And, you know, some of my personal sports heroes, like I love Rich Eisen. I love Bill Simmons, think has done a tremendous job with that. I love Colin Cowherd, you know, so those are guys like when something happens like that, you see them on the sofa on Sunday and they just pull out their phone. They're like, you know, they're much bigger than I am. They are way more important than me. And they find the time to do that. So I said, you know what, I'm going to start doing that because I think if there's something that's speaking to me and I can feel authentic about it, I'm going to open up my phone and do it right then. So I think that was progress for me in a lot of ways. But to answer your question, I have a lot of, you know, professional goals I want to hit. The big thing I want to craft a balance between finding, you know, fulfilling my childhood dreams and finding like a partner that I can like have a best friend in,
share that with,
you know, intimacy with, have like somebody that they're bought into my dreams, I'm bought into theirs, start a family. So those things would be nice.
Well, when you find the one, and you decide to take it the next step with her, I want you to come on the Hey BigHead Show. And breaking news, Mike Davis is off the market, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll say exactly what you said.
Which is what?
When you ask me, is she the one? I'll be like, well, long pause.
Vanilla or chocolate, Mike? Vanilla or chocolate?
Exactly. So you were listening.
Well, Mike, this was awesome. Honestly, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for both of us. I'm excited to stick because I feel like we're both on the right track and seeing you and getting to know you over the course of just a few years ago, just meeting you sporadically and then having the chance to sit down with you and pick your brain for 2 hours was fucking incredible.
This is amazing. You guys are doing great work here. Garrett, you're doing great stuff, both on air and behind the scenes. Julie, the intern, I enjoy. Brian. I will say this. I think when I come back next time, I have an idea.
Sure.
And I think this should be fairly soon. Like, I don't think this should be next autumn, you know.
We're going to move into a new studio in 2 months.
Okay. So
I want you in our new studio.
Okay. So I think in our new studio, there's a lot of stuff, like we both love some old school Howard.
We do.
You know, baby. When they would do some of these, like, you know, situational types of things. What if, just posing this is not even for you, audience, comment on this, because I know you want this. How amazing would an episode be? Heather's on the sofa. I'm on the sofa. You're there. Garrett's here. And I actually start asking you guys about your first date.
Ooh.
And some of our first intimate moments.
You know what? I
know Emily would love this.
Oh, she'd be ecstatic about that. Yeah, she would.
It's an opportunity for her to
I'd therapize
you without her having to do it. I'll do it for her. But I mean, I don't know if Heather would be down for this, but I need to know.
There is zero chance about Heather wanting to be down for that.
I need minutia to the nth degree from this first date. I need to know, you know, what happened.
You know, it's going to be all in the autobiography.
Okay.
You get to sit in the chair. You're at the desk.
Oh
yeah. We're actually switching spots.
I can't do that, but
I appreciate
but it would be. I think if we can get Heather, listen, if she can get free parking for locals, I don't know how many more she needs on this petition, this signature.
She's working at it.
If she gets to a certain number, a threshold, then in conjunction, she has to come do that.
Did you sign the petition?
No, I should actually do that. But I love what she's doing. I should do that.
We love that.
I'm not a petition guy.
You're not a petition guy?
I could do a whole Larry David thing. What? You know.
It's just your name. You're typing your name.
It's just like the commitment of a petition. Like, not that I want to pay. Julie had a great line. She was like, oh no, he wants to pay for free parking. I like that line. That was a good one. But it's like, it's a lot of commitment, the petition.
There's a lot that goes into it. For sure. I got it. Well, Mike Davis, honestly, I'd say where can people find you? But chances are, if anybody tunes in to Fox 5 or what was the other station called?
Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. But you can just go Silver State Sports. Go to Silver State Sports YouTube. We got tons of great stuff up there.
You're going to see Mike. For sure, you're going to see Mike Davis. And then Mike Davis on Instagram. Is that it?
Yes, Mike Davis. And listen, if you see me in a Jamba Juice and I'm ordering that blueberry bliss, I'm going to say hi to you. Say hi to me.
He's a man that sticks by his commitment. He has standards and he sticks. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, this is awesome. Thank you so much for coming in, for sharing your story, for giving me feedback. This is awesome.
Thank you, guys. Love what you're doing here.
Thank you. We'll check out new episodes each week on HeyBigHead.com. Garrett, how do you feel like it went?
I have a bazillion more questions.
I'm sure you do. We'll have to save that for the next time Mike comes in. HeyBigHead.com. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you then.